Hi folks, I'm Paul and I run Magic Torch Comics, and we work with people to share stories using comics. We do all sorts of stuff from historical comics and information comics through to folk tales and fiction. Just now we're running a project called Outside the Box, which is supported by the National Lottery Community Fund to work with young people in Inverclyde to create all sorts of different comics. Now, normally at this time of year here in Inverclyde, lots of us would be getting ready for the Galoshans festival. Lots of people take part in the traditional Halloween celebration that we have at this time of year. Same as everything else this year, the festival has had to shift doing some of its stuff to online. So we thought, as our part in the festival this year, we'd put together a scary comic. In fact, the first comics we released years ago now were actually all spooky comics featuring Catman and Captain Kidd, Goldenrod. Even Slenderman turned up to visit at one point. He went to Tesco's. He was terrifying. So we love scary stories and we want to tell more and then share them free online for everyone to read, as the nights start drawing in. Now, we're already working with a few groups to create stories for this collection, but we wanted to open it up just a wee bit wider. So if you're aged 8 to 25 and you're living in Inverclyde and you'd like to share a scary story, we want to hear from you. But here's the thing, we know everything's a bit scary right now, and you might think we don't actually need anything else to be terrified by, but scary stories have an important role to play in helping us face our fears and showing that it's okay to be scared sometimes, and of course there can be a good laugh as well. So when I say scary and spooky, I don't mean horrible, messy horror. For this project, we're talking haunted places, weird experiences, things you've maybe thought you've seen out the corner of your eye that made the hairs on the back of your neck stand up on end. Things you can't explain. It can be anything from a 2-sentence idea or a wee moment from a nightmare through to an actual story. Send them to us at the email address you'll see at the end by Friday the 25th of September, and you might see your idea appear in a comic by one of the extremely cool artists that we work with. And of course, you'll be credited in the published comic, which people will be able to read for free online. And since it's getting near that time of year, and to maybe give you an idea of the sort of thing we'd like and how it might end up looking, I thought I'd share a very short story with you, which I quite often tell at this time of year. It's got a few of my favourite types of things to write about in it, local legends and old buildings. And a few years ago I worked with local artist Barry Robertson to turn the story into a comic. And it's called Candy Bones. We should have been at school the day Stevie died. It wasn't even that good a day for skidging. The sky was smeared with grey clouds, threatening rain. Cold. First day of winter cold. The problem with taking a fly day off was that all the places you would actually want to go were instantly off limits. Wee Mr. Baines, the truancy officer, hung around the play parks and pitches all day. That's how we found ourselves, down by the docks, at the old sugar sheds, massive brick-built monoliths, monuments to an industry that no longer existed, and great for hiding in. My granda said you could still smell the sugar in here. Just smells damp to me. We pushed and squeezed in between the huge rusted doors. Ah, disgusting, said Stevie. Just inside the steel doors there was a pile of dead rats, surrounded by little broken bones. None of the rats had heads. Mum says you get disease from rats. Let's just go. Look at this, said Stevie, his attention already elsewhere. At the far corner of the shed was a set of ladders leading to a gantry, all rusted a dark brown. We've got to get up there. The gantry suddenly rattled and creaked, scattering the cobbled floor with rust. No chance, I said, but undeterred, Stevie ran over and began clambering up. I heard there was an old tramp died up there in a fire, he shouted. Let's see if we can find out where. As soon as we'd climbed up, I wanted back down. The air was thick with dust and damp, but more than that, I actually felt an almost physical pressure pushing me away. The wind hissed all around the rafters. Stevie, come on, I don't like it up here. Aye, this was it. This was where the Catman slept. More like the Ratman in this place. No, that was the Catman's job, said Stevie. My granda said he kept cats down at the docks and all the yards and sheds. They killed all the rats. That's why they would let him doss down here. But nobody came to get him. You know, when the place burned. The dim winter sun beamed between the cracks in the ceiling, illuminating little piles of bones along the girders. Look at this. Stevie had found an old tea chest, rotten with age. There's probably more rats in there. Just leave them. Stevie cracked it open. It's cat food. Some old tins of cat food. So there was, along with an old knife and some medals, and a jam jar full of rat skulls. There was a gruff grunting and a sudden shuffling at the far end of the corner beams. Right, did you hear that? Let's go. Stevie now looked as unsure as myself. It smells like something's burning. I climbed quickly down the ladders, running for the doors. The gantry groaned and shook once more, and as it shuddered, Stevie fell all the way down. He hit the cold stone floor with a dull thud and was still. He didn't make a sound. For a moment, there was nothing but the sound of the river lapping against the cold stone of the empty harbour. And then there was a low, rasping laugh. I ran and I left poor Stevie behind me, turning only once to see a black shadow fall across his broken wee body, circling him like smoke. The hollow mist-timed chime of the yard clock echoed round the lonely docks, and I ran. They closed the sugar sheds up properly after that. They've stood waiting ever since. But I see him still whenever I walk down by the riverside. Wee Stevie, grey and sad, dressed in our old school uniform. That school's knocked down now.